Just had Kyler Yamamoto up, but I was asking about, because there's been a lot of focus on the improvements in defense, but funny enough, since you took over, the goals against have gone down 0.57 per game. Goals for have gone up 0.57, so exactly the same. He talked about you really put an emphasis on getting to the net, hammering it home. There's definitely been more deflection goals from your team. Getting to the net, it's easy to say, harder to do. How have the guys been able to take what you've said and then incorporate it? What have you seen from your group? And is just going to the net, is that too simple as why you're improving your goals 5-on-5?
Yeah, I think that's a little simple in terms of what we're saying. I think for us, we do want to always have a net presence. We want to penetrate and get to the net, just like every team in the National Hockey League does. But we have some things that we want to do offensively once the cycle has been established too. I actually think sometimes you can bring too many bodies to the net. So to work in layers, and because I think if you bring too many of your bodies to the net, you're also bringing defenders to the net. It's hard for the puck to get through. So we look at layering in the offensive zone once the cycle has been established. But I would say the biggest thing is that our players are their willingness to go to hard areas to score. It's something that we put an emphasis on right when we came up from Bakersfield, Dave and I, was that we wanted to score May and June type goals. And we think that's a habit that you establish. It's not just something that you can flick the switch at that time of year. You have to establish that habit, and it's a credit to our players because they're going to those hard areas and the numbers reflect that.
It's very rare in a season to have kind of 4 early nights for a team in a row. After the matinee game, you had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, where guys could have had good rest and everything. You've also had almost like 3.5 days off. Do you, in your estimation, is there a rust factor at all at that point? Or do you expect that your guys are going to be that refreshed and you would expect a good start tonight?
Well, I think you got to take your rest when you can get it. And I don't think rest is ever a bad thing, especially given how hard these players are playing and the demands of the schedule over the last 2.5 months or so. So rest is important. I think there's ways to rest properly and make sure you're getting what you need so that you're rejuvenating. And, we had 2 good practices over the last few days. We're all professionals. We should be ready to go tonight versus a team that plays hard and plays a desperate brand of hockey.
When you have teams that want to clog up the neutral zone or try to take away your speed through the neutral zone, what's a key or two for you guys to stay patient and still be able to effectively advance the puck there? Well,
you used a term there about being patient. I think that's important, is to understand that other teams do good things too. So to stay patient and not force things. I believe in simplicity as a form of success in all aspects of the game. And you're talking about clogging up the neutral zone. One of the best ways you can be simple and have success is just by moving pucks up quickly before neutral zone structure sets itself. So that's something we talk a lot about as well.
Dave, Yamamoto seems to get under the skin of a lot of players. Certainly Rantanen in Columbus or in Colorado weighs him by 50 pounds and is about 6 inches taller. Is that something you saw in Bakersfield too, or is that just something that he's taken to the NHL and figures I'm not going to get pushed around as a smaller player?
Yeah, I think he wants to establish his ice. He frustrates people or opponents with his work ethic. That's one of his competitive advantages as a player. It's why he's in the NHL. I think for a guy who's not the tallest player in the world, he understands leverage and playing inside people, and there is a competitiveness to him that I think shows up in 50-50 puck battles.
And the goaltending situation, looks like you're just playing it one game at a time, but you don't necessarily want to play the same goaltender till the end of the year probably either. So how are you and Dustin looking at this?
Yeah, I think tonight Mike Smith's going to start for us. We're we're cognizant of how many games we have left in our regular season. And we're excited about the fact that we have two very good goaltending options. Both of them will play down the stretch. We're not going to overplay anybody.
Thank you.
Jay, Joe Pavelski, and if I got the story correct, you guys had like a shooters club. Was this something before practice in San Jose? And do you think that played sort of, he's a 7th round pick. Was that part of what kind of elevated him to become a top goal scorer?
Yeah, so you're referencing, we called it the shooting club back in San Jose, and I don't think that's the reason why he's had success. He's somebody that continuously worked at his craft. Another player who wasn't the biggest player in the world, wasn't the fastest player in the world, but was really sharp between the ears and was willing to put the work required in order to be successful. He has unbelievable hand-eye coordination. And I just see someone who, him dedicating himself to the work before practice, and it did happen before practice, him dedicating himself to that was a way for him to feel good or rehearse moments that he found himself in during the game. And that's part of his mindset, is to maximize his talents, is to continually to work at it. And obviously he's one of the best American goal scorers that has played in the National Hockey League, and his career speaks for itself. And he's somebody that not only did I get to work with, but I learned a lot from. And he certainly made me a better coach.
All right, so on that note, was this something that was pushed by the coaches to develop the shooting club? Did it grow organically from the players? And conversely, could it be something that could be deployed for maybe some of the Oilers' younger players that have an opportunity to play in the top 9?
Yeah, it was organic. It was something, it's funny because all of a sudden, when he started doing it, then you saw the Thorntons and the Marlows and the players of those caliber joining it and working at their games. I do think it's something that is important for younger players, is to find the time either before practice or after practice to make sure they're working on their individual skills required to be successful at this level. I think when the head coach steps on the ice, that's when the team works on the team side of things in the team game. And when I step on the ice, that's when everyone can take a little bit of a deep breath and focus on their individual skills. I can tell you, being a head coach, that's one of the things that I miss most, is the rapport you build in those type of situations. But we have really good assistant coaches in Glenn, Brian, Dave, Dustin, that find that time for our guys here.
Jay, you mentioned about Pavelski. He's not the fastest, not the biggest. So is skating overrated in the National Hockey League, and is IQ underrated in terms of getting to the spots you got to get to?
I don't think skating is overrated. I think to play the game a certain way, skating is at a premium in today's NHL. However, I do believe there's a place for players whose number one asset might not be their legs. And if it isn't your number one asset, then you have to find ways to bring a level or a dimension in another area. And for Pav, his hockey IQ is off the charts.
Can you teach players to be smarter on the ice offensively?
I think you can talk about moments that happen within games. You can rehearse those moments. And when you do, the game slows down for players so that they're working into positions so that they can be successful.
Thank you.
What's the best way to describe the effect of Mike Smith's playing the puck on your defensemen specifically?
I think it takes pressure off our D-core with the way that he can play the puck. I think it forces teams to adjust or alter their puck placement patterns. which in turn affects the way teams might forecheck our team. But all of that said, it takes a little bit of pressure off our decor with the way he can move the puck.
Won't ask you to name names, but through all of your 17 years, were there goalies who, as a coach, when they left the net, you went, oh boy, like you kind of held your breath a bit, and maybe juxtapose that with when you see Mike leave the net, how you feel?
Yeah, there have been goalies where you might have to look away as a coach sometimes, and or you want to put a tether on them, tether to the post or the crossbar. But with Mike Smith, he's someone that inspires confidence. I think he's the best in the world at it, and it's a real dimension for our team here in Edmonton.